Welcome to Soldier's Legacy, the home of stories that remind us what true strength, discipline, and honor look like. Today, we bring you the story of Petty Officer First Class Raven Calderas, a woman who didn't just fight for respect, she earned it in 12 seconds flat. You don't belong in a SEAL platoon, sweetheart. You're just here to check a diversity box. Lieutenant Harwick had snarled before his fist connected with her jaw during close quarters training. Now Petty Officer First Class Raven Calderas stood over his unconscious body while the entire command watched, and nobody could explain how a 5'5" woman had just dismantled their 6'3" golden boy in 12 seconds flat. Raven pressed an ice pack against her swollen jaw in the medical tent at Naval Amphibious Base Coronado, her dark eyes studying the concerned faces of her SEAL teammates. At 29 years old, barely making height requirements at 5'5", she'd completed the grueling SEAL pipeline 18 months ago, one of the first women to earn her trident in what remained a classified achievement. The bruise forming on her face wasn't from combat or training accidents. It was from her own platoon commander, who'd crossed a line nobody thought he'd cross. The other operators knew her as someone who moved like water through kill houses, who could hold a plank for 20 minutes without shaking, who'd grown up diving abalone off the California coast with her father since age 7. What they didn't know was that she'd been winning underground Brazilian jiu-jitsu tournaments since 14, or that her grandfather had taught her Krav Maga in their garage before cancer took him. Hey folks, whether you're watching from military bases or your living rooms, make sure to subscribe to Soldier's Legacy, because these stories of our silent professionals deserve to be told. Raven's path to the team started in the fishing communities of Half Moon Bay, where her father, a former Marine Force recon operator, ran a commercial diving business. He'd named her Raven after the reconnaissance aircraft, not the bird, and raised her like the son he never had. Every morning before school meant ocean swims in 50 water. Weekends meant learning to navigate by stars, tie every knot in the manual, and stay calm when equipment failed 40 feet underwater. Her Israeli grandfather, Moshe Calderas, had been Sayare Matkal before immigrating to California. Between tool benches and fishing nets, he built a training space where he taught her the brutal efficiency of Israeli combat systems. Small fighters don't win by being strong, he'd said. They win by being smarter, faster, and willing to do what bigger fighters won't expect. She joined the Navy at 18, became a combat medic, deployed twice to Afghanistan, and later qualified for the SEAL pipeline. 3 years later, she stood in formation at graduation, trident pinned to her chest. While men who'd quit wondered how she did what they couldn't, her reason was simple. Her father had been rejected from SEAL training for a heart murmur. She was finishing what he started. Then came Lieutenant Bradley Harwick, Harvard-educated. Son of an admiral and arrogant enough to believe women didn't belong in the teams, he undermined her at every turn, till one day he went too far. During a combatives exercise, he mocked her, then hit her in front of witnesses. By regulation, it was assault. By Raven's code, it was unfinished business. When offered a formal complaint, she refused. "If I file, I'll be the woman who got an admiral's son investigated," she said. "I'll handle it my way." She did. The next day, during the platoon combatives assessment, Harwick paired himself with her, thinking she was still hurt. What happened next would be whispered about for years. As they squared off, Harwick smiled, confident. "You should tap out now. Save yourself the embarrassment." 3 minutes in, she was calm, controlled, not even breathing hard. He swung again, overcommitting. She stepped inside, trapped his wrist, drove her elbow into his solar plexus, swept his leg, and locked a standing Kimura before anyone could blink. He crashed to the mat. She mounted, shifted weight, and locked in an arm triangle choke so clean that instructors later used it for training videos. "Tap or sleep, Lieutenant," she said quietly. He tapped hard, face red, eyes wide, choking on his pride. 12 seconds. The silence in the gym was broken only by Master Chief Torres. Outstanding demonstration of tactical superiority through technical proficiency. Petty Officer Calderas. That's how SEALs solve problems. The video and witness statements triggered an immediate NCIS investigation. Within days, Harwick was removed from command, charged with assault, and reassigned to a supply post in Bahrain, career over. Even his admiral father couldn't save him. Raven returned to her team quietly. Respect followed, not because she was a woman, but because she was one of them. Months later in Syria, when her platoon was ambushed, she fought hand-to-hand when ammo ran dry. Neutralizing 3 enemy combatants using the same techniques that had humbled Harwick, she earned the Bronze Star for valor. But for Raven, the real victory was personal. She looked at a photo of her father and grandfather at her graduation and whispered, "I did it." Because for Raven Calderas, and for the warriors who came before her, the trident wasn't just a symbol. It was a legacy. This is Soldier's Legacy, where every story honors the warriors who fight not for recognition, but for something greater. Subscribe for more true military legends brought to life.